So okay, so let's back up a little bit because I want
Sure.
everybody watching and listening to know what I know. So
Yeah.
you
Yeah. Before we get into esoteric stuff.
yeah. Let's get some foundational information
Cool.
down first. Okay, so you Chuck Shadow, when did you come up with that handle? That's relatively recent, isn't it?
So I actually I came up with the name in like probably 2014, 2015. I think
Oh, okay.
probably 2015. So the backstory on that was in Colorado, where I'm from. I was going under a name K Smash, and so when I started, I was DJing. I started DJing in high school, so like in 2008 is when I first picked up my uh, got my first set of turntables, and so I was like teaching myself on vinyl. I was doing like battle records and stuff, and then as I uh, got more swept up into the electronic movement that was happening around the time. I was really inspired by a DJ out here in LA called DJ AM. And so he was like the king of the party rock mixes, which was basically taking electro tracks and like pop records and like mashing them up. And so when I was looking for a DJ name, I was really inspired by that. And I was doing a lot of mashups as well. So I coined the name K Smash. So Kelly Smash. And I was doing like smash ups, you know? And so
Cool.
I was like, oh, that's clever. That works. And so I was K Smash, and like, and my career was just as a DJ. I was working with two entertainment companies, one that was like underground and another that like worked with like the big promotion teams. So the underground crew, we would like build stages at breweries out of like pallets and whatever we can find, get anybody we knew with lights, like a friend who bought a laser, you know, just really like a ragtag crew. Anybody who is passionate, we would get them involved and throw undergrounds. And then on the other side of the coin, I was with like a professional team where we were like working with established venues, established promoters, bringing out a lot of professional high level artists to Colorado. And so it was really fun being a part of those two teams. And through that experience, I gained, you know, a lot of crazy stories and a lot of really wonderful experiences in both the DIY and in the professional sense. And what kind of precipitated the change to Chuck Shadow was in like 2012, 2013, when the EDM bubble was starting to like, you know, get huge. It became very apparent that I needed to be a producer. And this was a sentiment shared by like everyone in the entertainment company, the one that was doing like big shows. And it kind of culminated with us being partners for Global Dance Fest at Red Rocks. And so our team, we were all in charge of basically the second stage, which was the top stage at Red Rocks. And so we all got to play Red Rocks. And what kind of like changed everything for us was having that experience, playing at a legendary venue, but being DJs and not having enough music out there to really like bridge the gap between local DJ and producer, artist. So we all opened and we were like, I don't want to open, you know, like I want to play later in the night. And so that realization kind of was like, well, shit, I need to learn how to produce. And that also was at a time where like I was finishing up college. I was looking at my future, like, what do I want to keep doing this? You know, I hit my goals as a DJ. So I actually stepped back. I also got sober at this time because I was like partying way too much. And so all at the same time in 2013, I like played Red Rocks, quit DJing, and got sober and graduated college, you know? So it was like a very big year. And I was not sure if I was going to come back to music at this point. So it was a very interesting time. And so then I was like looking at options, you know, post grad, like what the fuck do I do?
Right.
as a communication major.
Yeah.
What
Because
am
you
I
had
what am I
been
gonna do?
because you've been doing music your whole life. Like you've been a
uh
musician your whole life, yeah?
I started I started messing with music probably when I was like 15 or 16.
Okay.
But
Okay.
I've been, I guess, like technically I've been like goofing around with audio. I used to like break into like video game files, and if there's this game called Age of Empires, and specifically Age of Mythology. I When that came out, I found the root folder that had all the
Yeah.
music for the game,
Oh,
and
funny.
so I went and like took the music files and opened them up in Audacity and would just like fuck them up, and then have my friends play the game, and then like the music would start and it would just be fucked up. So it'd be like really fast or like really slow or like
Sure.
backwards. Like I couldn't really do anything to it other than just like apply the effects that Audacity had. But I would
Sure.
just do that, and then like there's also this Lego Movie Maker game.
Mhm.
So like I used to make like stop animation videos and shit.
Okay.
And
Okay.
and I kind of found like I really like messing with the audio and like getting like the audio in there, kind of
Yeah,
more
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
video editing. So that was kind
Yeah.
of like what kind of like fed the hobby of like messing with music. So I cracked FL Studio when I was like 14, and
Okay. Yeah.
then
So you've been messing with
Ableton and all
this.
that shit.
Yeah. You've
Yeah.
been doing this for a while. Cracking
Yeah.
audio
Like
files and messing with audio.
20
Sound
years.
design, really. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
started sound design like 20 years ago. That's
Yeah.
incredible. That's incredible.
Yeah. And I could never get a
Um,
band really
yeah.
going. So that was kind
Okay.
of like the other thing. Like I
Okay.
played guitar and bass,
You did. Yeah.
but yeah, I
Yeah.
couldn't get
Yeah.
I played in a ska punk band for a little bit, but we
Cool.
lost our drummer. So like after you lose a drummer in a band, it's like fucking dead. Like, you're not gonna roll up there with like a
Interesting.
drum
Yeah.
machine and just be like, boop, here's my drum
Yeah.
machine.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
So
Well, unless you're like a Robert DeLong, right? Who plays his drums when he's playing all his other live, right? Like
oh yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. Like yeah,
Yeah.
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 That's so interesting you should say because you taught me when writing electronic music to start with drums.
Hmm.
So it's fascinating to hear that in a band, same thing. It's like you lose the drummer and
You're cooked. It's over.
there, yeah, there's like all the energy, like the feeling of the band, right, is in the drums. So
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So all right. So after college, you're like, fuck this, fuck music, communications
Yeah,
major.
I
Let's go.
wasn't really like fuck music. It was more
Okay.
just like do I like try to, what do I do? Like what else do I do? And I was
Yeah.
also like, in the process of like newly being sober. And that's like a
Mhm.
lot of work. And so I needed just like something. So I just started
Yeah.
working at Best Buy, as I feel like comically a lot of electronic music artists do.
It's
From
funny.
I know a lot of ex Best Buy producers and DJs. But
That's really, really
yeah,
funny.
so I started
Yeah.
working at Best Buy in home theater, and like it was just
Okay.
a really chill job. So I was able to kind of like work there, um, you know, and just like go home and like learn Ableton on a more serious level, like watch tutorials on YouTube and like learn shit. And so I actually used to I was putting out music, under K Smash. And so I was like
Okay.
still like dropping stuff just very irregularly,
Mm,
when I was like, oh, this is perfect. I'm gonna drop it because I was a perfectionist.
yeah.
And so yeah, so I was working there. I got promoted to manager, and but I was like something was just like missing, like.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And
Yeah.
my buddy who I used to work with at like the underground crew, called the Aristocats, he kind of like had his thing. He got in like a motorcycle accident, and that kind of like opened up his eyes. And so after he recovered, he went back to just start DJing at like the college bars, which is something that like we used to do through college. And so he was like, "Hey, I got a Friday. Do you want to like come up here and DJ with me?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." So started back DJing at college bars on like Friday nights, and
Cool.
then the bar across the street was like, hey, we need one of you for Wednesdays. And then so we started like doing Wednesdays and Fridays, and we just like switch off.
Love
And
it.
then a friend of mine hooked me up with a gig in Fort Collins. So on Thursdays, and it was like fucking dead on these Thursdays. It was after like a comedy night. And so, you know, it was really chill. It was like, okay, I'm just gonna play until everybody leaves or whatever. But then I kind of like caught the bug again, and I was just like, oh, there's like I really miss this. This is really fun. So the Thursdays I kind of put like a lot of resources into like working with that bar to try to get it to be like a big night.
Cool.
The deal was across the street was another bar that was like crushing it on Thursdays. Thursdays was the big college night. And so we were like fucking empty, and there was like a line across the street, and that like
Yeah.
sucks when you're a bar owner, because then like the whole staff's just standing there like this,
So
you
pissed.
know,
Yeah.
just like watching the other bar just kill it. And the
Yeah.
other bar was fucking gross. So we were like, okay,
Mhm.
we have a good bar here. Like, let's do this. So like I rebuilt like their subwoofer, and then
You
we
rebuilt it. Wait, let's pause on that for
yeah,
a second. Is that because of the knowledge you gained working at home theater?
no.
No, you just knew how to. Okay, tell me more
Mm,
about this, and we'll go back to the journey.
I mean,
You
like
like
speakers,
repaired a subwoofer? Holy shit, bro!
yeah. It's
That's
like a
impressive.
little less cool because it was like we just bought a cone, like the cone was busted, so we just bought a new cone,
Okay.
swapped it out, and then hooked it up with cables, and like it was like a little soldering, but it wasn't like, you know, I didn't do like surgery on the
Just a
thing,
little
but
soldering, no big
yeah,
deal. Just a little,
but
just a touch of
yeah.
soldering. I mean, most people can't solder at all. Okay,
No, I
so
actually had a roommate. I had a roommate who was like building synths and stuff, so like I leaned
okay,
on him a little bit.
okay, that's cool
But
though. Wow,
yeah,
that's cool. Okay, so
yeah.
back at it. So
So
you
like
fixed the sub at this bar.
fix the sub, so we like upped our
Yeah,
sound, you know, a little bit,
yeah.
and then and I think I like uh did a deal with a friend who like had like some subs from that he wasn't using anymore. So like I negotiated a deal with him. So we like upped our sound, and then we like I worked with the bar, and we came up with like drink specials, you know, for Thursdays. And then we started holding a line, which was really funny when we started, because it was like comedy night, and then and then we just have our bouncer go up, and there's like nobody there really, and like people are leaving from comedy, and then there's just like a line, like no one's in the bar, but we're like making people wait to come in. And I surprisingly it like worked, like holding the line and making it appear as it was like, you know, like a thing,
Yeah, yeah,
made it work. It like people wanted to come in, and it was
right.
like a weird
So
psychological
funny.
thing.
Yeah.
And so fast forward, we started building the night, word started to get around town. um and eventually, and so like I went into this originally like when it was dead with like a contract of because we had to do, they were like a legitimate business, so we had to set up a contract for payment, and all this. So like my agreement was that I would get $100 or 10% of the bar after $1,000.
Okay.
And they were like, fuck yeah, because they're only making like 400 to 600 at this time. So it was like, you know,
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
could pay you $100 to be here for like, you know, 6 hours. And so so it started with that. And then over the course of a year, over the course of the year, that just grew, and they had added me to their Saturdays because another DJ dropped out. So I was there Thursdays and Saturdays with the same contract. And
Great.
eventually word started to go around, and so those nights started cranking between like we wouldn't make less than like 3K and like upwards of 6 or 7. And so at one point, like 2 years into it, the owner was like, what the fuck is happening? Like, why are you paying this one guy like $700, you know? And it
Yeah,
was
yeah, yeah.
like, he's like, please tell me you're not doing this for every DJ or whatever. But it was like, you know, we built it, and it was like a
Yeah,
really
yeah, of
cool
course.
experience to kind of see like something go from nothing to like
Yeah.
cranking it out and shutting the bar down across the street because we had a better bar. And you know, so that was like really just fueling my fire to like really get back into music. And so in
Were
that
you
period
still
of 2
K Smash
years,
at this
I
point?
was
Still
still
K
K
Smash?
Smash. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And so while I was still working at that, when I was at that bar, like, you know, in like year 2, I was a manager and I was working 4 nights a week. And so I was a manager in Boulder, Colorado. I lived in Denver, Colorado, and I was DJing in Fort Collins and Greeley, Colorado. So Colorado is basically like a highway state. So in Denver, if you have to go to Boulder, it's 30 miles, but it's only 30 minutes. So I was driving 30 minutes to work in the morning, 30 minutes home, eating dinner, and then driving an hour to Fort Collins or Greeley to DJ, then come home. I would finish DJing at 2, load up my car, and then get home at like 3:30, and then go to bed, wake up at like, you know, 8, and then go back to work. And so I did that for a year of working 80 hours a week and driving like 650 miles. And so I was listening to a lot of podcasts and like, you know, a lot of shit. And I was also watching a lot of videos from Ill Gates. And this
Okay.
dude, Ill Gates, he has this old video on YouTube. You can still find it. It's like the Ill methodology, I think is what it is. But it's like an interview. He's like standing on a stage, and there's one point in it where he was like, if you're passionate about something, find an hour in your day to put towards that passion. And if you're passionate, you will find that hour, you know, no matter what. So if it's like you want to get better at music production, like make an hour for that. And that really resonated with me. And so in this period of time, I was like, whatever time that I had, I would find that time to put towards music. You know, when I had like an ounce of energy, I'd put like just an hour in. And so I did that. And eventually, like the nights were getting so successful that I was able to quit my job at Best Buy. And that was partially because I got like a new boss and he sucked. And he was like, he came in there and he like my old team, like the man, my manager, who's like the store manager, got like promoted and he left. And then like our like general manager, he left. And so we got this new GM and he fucking sucked. And so we were like, I was like, I don't want to work for you anymore. You know, he demoted me. He like brought in some other guy from his old store who sucked, and I like had him beat on all of his numbers, but he didn't like my leadership style. So like, you know, it was some bullshit.
Listen, thank God.
And so
thank God, though. Thank God, though.
Yeah,
Kelly,
it was like honestly the best.
You
It was
know,
honestly, it was like a blessing in disguise because I liked that job and it was very fun, and it was a trap though. It was like easy job.
Yeah.
And so like that precipitated this like, I'm like doing well enough. And I have the opportunity to step back now. So it opened up that hour, right? It was like cool, like fuck this job, I'm quitting. I'm gonna just put my time into music now.
Yeah. Exactly.
And so I just started filling up that bucket, and then being free of the day job, I was just like putting that time into music. And so I just really went all out, and then was kind of starting to eye like Icon Collective. And so in this time I was like, you know, still K Smash, but one day I was doing like poster design for entertainment companies, and like this one crew was like, hey, we need a poster design. And at the time looking for a new name, I was like, oh, the reason why I wanted a new name was so K Smash was like me as a DJ. I was like a Colorado guy. And then what had happened was there's a K Smash in Lusaka, Zambia, which is in Africa.
Yeah.
And so my Facebook page was getting super messy because people were like trying to contact the radio DJ K Smash from Lusaka, Zambia. And it was so funny because it's like I'm just like, you know, I have my pictures up and like I'm talking about stuff in Colorado the whole time. And I was like, I'm not that guy, but like you know, you might be looking for this guy in DMs and whatever. And then so it was getting like really, really messy.
Yeah, and
then
exhausting too. Like always
yeah,
having
because
to
like
correct people.
the page wouldn't work, you know, like
you
know, for advertising and stuff. It was like padding my numbers, but I was like, it's not like that. So
that's so funny.
I
So
needed
that was
a way out.
Yeah.
But so, and I was also like, I wasn't doing mashups anymore. Like DJing has kind of had like evolved like considerably, because of, again, the producers coming in. So now it was like really well produced songs, and like that was kind of like, you know, mashup DJs were kind of like a thing of the past.
Yeah.
Also, like the music industry kind of caught on and was like, that shit's illegal, we want our royalties. So it was getting like harder to like you know, do that. So I needed a name, and I wanted a name that was like reflective of like the music that I was making now, which was like very night bass inspired, very like UK, like darker. I was kind of progressing past like the electronic, like the electro, like Dada Life stuff that I was doing before. And so I needed something that kind of like reflected this darker, edgier sound. And so I couldn't think of anything. And one day I was doing poster design before going on at one of the bars, and I came across a font, and it was called Chuck Shadow, and I was like, hey, look at this font. It's a garbage font. This is a pretty good name actually for like my project. And my buddy was like, actually, yeah, that's like fits really well. So
that's amazing. That's it's a font. It's the name of a font.
Yeah, it's a font on like defont.com or 1001 fonts. So
oh my god, I love that. I love that so much.
It was just kind of like a really just funny thing that happened. And so I just like checked on SoundCloud. Oh, I was also looking for like a first name, last name. Like, as I realized like Dylan Francis was really successful, and like and it was really easy to find on Google. K Smash was really hard for SEO. So I needed something that was better for SEO too. And Chuck Shadow just kind of seemed to like ring out. And another piece with like names is if you're coming up with a name, write it down. And then wait and like see if you think it's like dog shit the next day. Because like sometimes it is. Like you wake up the next morning and you're like, you look at it written down and you're like, why
I love that.
Where did that come from? Why did I think that was good? And so like Chuck Shadow, I was kind of like kept looking at it. It was available on SoundCloud and Spotify, and so then I registered the name on SoundCloud, which is like the musician's trademark registering, you know.
Totally.
On a budget.
Totally.
And so then I kind of just like I just stuck with it after that. And so I kind of like did a crossfade on K Smash into Chuck Shadow. And then so that's like the most long-winded background story ever.
I love it though, because we covered your background with DJing and then producing too. So that's basically when Chuck Shadow was born, and you started producing around then as well, or that was basically you started producing.
I consider myself really getting serious about producing in like 2015. So like 9 years ago now, like 2015, 2016, like in that. That's when I like really like buckled in and got serious.
Well, and so just to give the listeners, because I want to talk about this in a second, but Night Bass is a party that is hosted by the bass producer AC Slater, and I've actually seen you perform Night Bass at Sound, and it was so good. It was so good. I love that venue, and you rocked it. You rocked the venue.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And then, but you also mentioned Icon Collective.
Yes.
And for anybody
Yes.
listening, that is a big music production school here in Los Angeles. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
They're
And you ended
located
up
in
going
Burbank.
there. They're located in Burbank.
Yeah.
And you ended up going.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
When did you go to Icon?
So I went to Icon in 2016. So like July 2016, I enrolled. But basically, yeah. So I was like making music, and Jauz, who was like the American, you know, he was like the big bass house guy in like 2014. And I've been listening to AC Slater since 2009. So I was listening to him, and like I was really up to date with like what he was doing. You know, Taiki Newlight before he was on Night Bass. Taiki Newlight actually was like making dubstep when I was listening to him.
Oh, funny.
And then he started making like garage. And so I was listening to like him and like Shadow Child and let's see, just like Cry Wolf and stuff. And so I was like, oh, and Chami. I was really into like the future bass stuff at that time.
Yeah.
And you know, and like Night Bass just started in 2014. And so I was like that really on that wave. And then so going into Icon, I was making like future bass house, but I only found out about it was because Jauz, when I was like reading about him, he was an Icon grad, and so I was like, oh, I should check this out. And so I was kind of like tiptoeing around applying, because it was like comfortable. I was really comfortable in Colorado. I was like making good money, just DJing at bars, and like, you know, I was able to kind of just do what I wanted. But I wasn't going anywhere, you know? I was like just fucking here. And so I was like talking to Lexi, my wife, and we went out to breakfast one day at this place called Snooze, which is a really, really amazing breakfast place. And I was like, yeah, I think I'm gonna apply to Icon. And she was like, do it. And I was like, okay, I'll like look into doing that later or something. And she was like, no, we're doing this now. And
Do
so
it
we were like
now.
in the car. We were in the car and like driving home from the from the restaurant, and she encouraged me to like, you know, start filling it out. So like I filled out that on the way, and like Lexi kind of like helped me finish that application, and then we sent it, you know.
Amazing.
And it was like just in the car driving back from breakfast. And then
were you living in Colorado at the time, or had you already
I
moved
was
back to
living
LA?
in Denver.
You were still in Colorado. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You were in Denver.
And so, you know, I applied, and I was like, I don't know, maybe I'll get in. We'll see. And then a couple weeks later, got my interview. And then a couple weeks after that, they were like, yeah, you're good to go. We'd love to have you. So you're enrolled for we'd love to have you in like the summer 2015 class. And so like, you know, 6 months later, moved out to LA. And so then I started just like completely uprooted. I moved out to LA with my friend who had worked with at Best Buy. He was like another home theater dude. He was passionate about acting, and was just like, yeah, let's do it. So we found an apartment like right across from Icon Collective and moved in. Perfect. And so then started my journey at Icon, which was insane.
And were you and Lexi married at the time?
We were not. So we got married last year. Coming up on our 1 year anniversary in the next 2 months.
Congratulations. That's so exciting.
Thank you. And so we were Lexi was teaching. She helped found a charter school in Denver.
Good for her.
In her post graduation. And so that was like she was teaching there. We had a house like a townhome like nearby the school. And you know, so we were like pretty comfy. and basically Lexi was just like, you know, do this, you know, it's you, this is like what you want to do, you gotta pursue that, you know. And from with her support, I was really able to, like, you know, take that leap. I definitely wouldn't have had it not been for her. I'm very like tentative about decisions, I think.
Yeah.
And so she's like the best and such an amazing supporter of everything that I've done. And yeah, so you know, I was a little nervous, but it was just like, you know, let's see how this year is. We'll just
Yeah.
talk. And you
Yeah.
know, and so she would come visit like every couple weeks,
That's
and
great.
it was amazing because like we would kind of have like vacay mode like every couple weeks
Yeah.
out in
Yeah.
LA.
Yeah.
And then she moved out like after I graduated, so like
Okay.
a year after.
Okay.
Basically her charter school was just like a little wobbly, had some wobbly leadership, and she was like,
Sure.
I gotta jump ship.
Yeah.
And so she moved out, you hauled it out, and yeah, so we've been in LA since I've been here since 2016, and she's been
Yeah.
here since 2017.
But there's a very big music scene growing in Denver, where you're from.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
And you're
Denver has a
here in
great
LA.
scene.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Why? So I love LA. That's why I'm starting this. It's to celebrate LA based people in the EDM scene here. So why are you staying in LA when there's such a big scene back home where it's obviously less expensive to live, you're closer to family, right? Like, why stay
Yeah.
here?
Well, so Denver is the bass capital. So, if you're
Got it.
making trap, if you're making dubstep, if you're in that kind of scene, Denver is a great place to be. However, it doesn't have like, it's starting to have an emerging house scene. Like I've
Okay.
my buddy Micah is actually from Denver. He's on tour with
Okay.
Nate 08, and he's sleeping on my couch right now because he's on a LA tour stop.
Nice.
He's in like the Denver house scene, but kind of when I was in Denver, there wasn't really much going on, and it was kind of, so like if you're in house music, there just wasn't enough to like progress. And the thing about Denver that I kind of disliked too about the scene was, it was like, you know, you could throw a USB and hit a DJ, and it was like, you know, but like there weren't enough producers. So trying to progress as a music producer, there just wasn't enough house music producers available to kind of like, you know, work together, help each other out.
Sure.
And that lack of community made it really kind of hard to like progress and get better.
Yeah.
Because but out here, there's just there's everything. So you could really find like whatever genre you do. Like shit, if you like, I had a friend who was like doing like noise core or whatever.
Okay.
Where it's like just super obscure. But there's like a community of people doing that, you know? And it's like you could find that. Yeah, like made up genre name practically, and it's like it's there. They go play with synthesizers in a park on like, you know, third Saturday.
I
of
love
every month.
that. It makes the music scene here feel very small because it is so niche, because you can find exactly what you're looking for, which is what I love about it too. So let's talk more about your music. You make UK garage now. Were you always doing that?
I've always made like a kind of a hybrid between like American tech house, bass house, and UK garage inspired music. So kind of like wherever those kind of meet. I had a release on 3000 bass, and they kind of summed it up as just like a pairing between UK garage or UK bassline and tech house. So I kind of like smash those together, and that's kind of like where I find my sound most of the time. It's kind of somewhere living in the middle. I'm working on some more traditional UK garage tracks right now. with like the new garage sound that's been emerging in like the last year. It's been
Yeah.
like I've been
Popping
really
out.
into it.
Yeah, me too.
So I'm finding some like inspiration there and stuff. But yeah, but I'm still
Yeah.
working on kind of like the same tech house, bass house, UK inspired
Yeah.
kind of like, it's like my color palette.
Exactly. It's like
Yeah.
it's like our sound choices we pick, right, for songs, and then now we have the same ones sometimes that we carry through. What about, so obviously you're mixing all this fantastic music. Is there one that you prefer? Like, is it just kind of what you're feeling at the time? Like right now it is more the
Um,
traditional UK garage.
I mean, it's like, I think like I'm very eclectic when it comes to like
Yeah.
listening to music. And so uh I've always really been into just like heavier like bass heavy house music. um I get really like I get really bored really fast. And
Yeah,
so
me too.
like tech house, uh I just get really bored. I can't like listen to it. It's just like, there isn't enough. There are some artists though that I actually do
Yeah.
enjoy, like Lucati. I think
Okay.
his tracks have enough like action or like progression and like little bits that kind of keep my brain like tickled. But yeah, so I've always really been into like bass house because it's very much just like something. It's like, oh wow, a new sound, a
Yeah.
new
Yeah.
section, and
It's
it's kind of
exciting.
like, yeah, my
Yeah.
brain's like, oh look at that, and like,
Yeah.
like
Well, and your
ADD
stuff is
squirrel
really
brain with
fun.
music.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say your stuff is really fun and it keeps me entertained.
Thank you.
I'm always like the sounds I'm hearing are surprising. Sometimes you only hear them like once, which
Yeah,
is
yeah, I
amazing.
love doing
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You're like, wait a second, that was like the coolest sound on the track. You're only gonna give it to me one time.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah, I love it. So you mentioned Lucati. What other influences right now?
Yeah, so like my main influences though would be like MPH currently, AC Slater always, I would have to
Sure,
say. He's just been probably the most consistent.
sure.
um Taiki New
He's
Light,
great. Okay.
Jack Beats, Flava D,
Mm.
DJQ, Royalty,
Oh,
um and then like on the left field side of things, Eliminate, who makes dubstep. um I watch a lot of his video content and his like YouTube recaps from his Twitch streams, and like as far as like production and just like fucking around, I think
yeah,
he's been really inspiring me to just kind of like fuck around a lot more.
amazing.
And then also Party Boy 69, who
Okay.
makes like techno.
Yeah.
He's a big inspiration in the sense where like uh you know, just to be yourself and be like silly and like
Hmm.
just have fun with it.
Yes.
Um, and I think that a lot of these genres are very serious,
Yeah, for sure.
and I kind of just can't do that all the
Yeah.
time. And
Yeah.
so, like an artist like Party Boy 69 is like very much like I'm very into just goofy shit. And
Yeah.
so yeah, so he's been a big inspiration this last like couple of years.
Amazing.
Um and
Amazing.
I'd also have to say Wongo out of Australia. So two
Okay.
Australian musicians, Wongo and Party Boy 69. I think that
Yeah.
they're both you know, they're totally different musically, but like both a little silly.
Yeah.
Um but yeah, so I think if you're to look at like a Venn diagram of like what I'm inspired by, it's like um it's like UK inspired music, and
Yeah.
then like goofy shit,
Yeah.
just like
Yeah.
silly stuff,
Yeah.
and then like and then on the left side it's like technical artists, you
Okay.
know. And
Yeah.
so like kind of listening to all that is kind of what kind of keeps me going, and like keeps me really like entertained and involved with just like trying out new stuff and having
Yeah.
fun writing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Are you okay? So question about, I'm going to switch over to your teaching, because you
Okay.
also help people. Like you coach me, you coach and
Mhm.
mentor. So tell me a little bit about that. How long have you been doing that?
I've been teaching now for 4 years.
Cool.
So
Cool.
I started teaching during COVID. Um, I don't honestly remember what was like the catalyst to start teaching,
Yeah.
but I think it was over COVID. I think like um I just started teaching, I guess. I don't remember what like why I was like I should do this. But
Yeah.
but yeah, so I started taking on students in 2020 and beginning with like this artist Celia. She's from the UK. She makes Arabic inspired
Cool.
UK bass and UK
Cool.
garage and also
Cool.
UK funky. So she was, I think, one of my first students, along with like a handful of some others. Um, and like a guy out here, his name is Tones, Tonez.
Yeah.
He's sick, and dude out of Vancouver called 909. I think those were like the three students that I really started with. Um, and yeah, so I started with them, and I still mentor Salia
Okay.
pretty regularly. She's been killing it. She basically really like embraced her vision and was just like she just knew what she wanted to do. So I really felt like my job was just to facilitate and just kind of like helping that come alive. So you know, talking about sound design, arrangement, working
Yeah.
with and it's been a really fun project because I had to learn Arabic scales
Oh,
and
cool.
learn how to
Cool.
make that work in a Western
Yeah.
program. Like Ableton is a Western music program, and
Right.
so you have to kind of learn how to bend the rules there to make it sound okay. And so it's been very fun working with her, and it's been a fantastic challenge over these years.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, so she has her first headlining show in London a couple weeks, I want to say.
Oh my gosh,
So yeah,
congratulations. What a
she's doing
journey.
really well. Yeah,
What
yeah,
a journey.
she is killing it.
Yeah.
And now the joke is that she's like offering me mentorship advice
I
on
love
like
it. I love
career
it.
stuff. Yeah. So
That's so funny. That's so funny. Well, hey, full circle. Full circle.
yeah,
Full circle.
absolutely. And so
Yeah.
like with teaching, I think like my mission as a teacher is to really just like help aspiring artists just like find their sound.
Yeah.
And I like to talk a lot about like the psychology behind being a creative. So like finding your sound, how to kind of battle like stuff like writer's block, and that little voice in the back of your head that's just like, this is fucking shit. Stop writing or whatever it is, you know, that day.
Yeah.
And as well as working on, you know, the foundations of electronic music from my perspective, which is uh, based around like learning how drums work, learning how to pick
Yeah.
apart structure so that you can kind of really like dig into the song and, you know, really see how everything works. And from there, kind of like branch out and, you know, start creating those like, you know, networks between all the different parts that go into making a
Yeah.
modern electronic song.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, Another question for you for Chuck Shadow. Future. What are you working on this
Future.
year? What's going on this year? And even in
So
like the foreseeable future, what do you want?
So my immediate goal is to go on like a small regional tour.
Yeah.
I think I'm at the point now with my releases that uh I just need to start kind of getting out there
Mhm.
and getting back into DJing, which is something that I miss, you know? And like
Yeah. Yeah.
DJing at home just doesn't do it for me. Like DJing on
Yes.
Twitch, I tried, but it just isn't the same. Like being in front of a crowd and like making that
Yeah.
connection with people and like playing
Yeah.
to that energy. If it's one
Sure.
fucking person there or like a bunch, it
Yeah.
doesn't matter. It's like making that kind of connection is something that I just genuinely miss. So this year I want to get back out there. And so my goal is to start booking like a small regional tour and then see what kind of goes from there. And then I'm also musically, I'm trying to branch out a little bit. So I'm trying some new styles.
Cool.
I'm
Cool. Like what?
like more traditional UK garage
Okay.
and like this
Yeah.
and there's like this new KG shit that's kind of starting to
Okay.
pop off. It's
Cool.
like a little bit more bassy. I've also been messing around with like just like it's still sitting at like 128 to like 134.
Okay.
But just a little bit more broken beat stuff. Just to kind of like add a little bit more variety to my
Yeah.
sets. If I'm going to be playing all my music, I like to play some deeper cuts,
Yeah.
and so
Yeah.
I'm playing around with that. And then as far as releases, I don't have anything like locked in that I can speak about, but I hope this year I can have some fun releases that will be kind of like a glimpse into what's
Good.
coming as far as my sound.
You will for sure. You will for sure. It's a whole
Yeah,
year. It's a
yeah,
whole year. You will
yeah.
for sure.
So
Good.
it's gonna be a fun year. I'm really excited about the music that I'm making right now, and so it'll be very fun to kind of see what where that lands. And then but for the future,
Yeah.
I would like to start growing like a more consistent tour schedule.
Cool.
And start getting out to more places, you know, and see what I can kind of take on, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
My big goal is to just be touring, you know,
Yeah.
like pretty
Tour. Tour.
consistently.
Tour. Tour. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. For
because
sure.
I
That's
miss
exciting.
DJing and I just want to be back out there and like playing
Yeah.
shows. I really want to play festivals, so I'm
Yeah.
really writing a lot of music that I think is more suited for a festival stage right now.
Cool. Cool.
Um,
Cool.
a big lifelong goal is to play at EDC, and
Yes.
and
Yes.
so that was
Yes.
the first rave I went to was EDC Colorado, and
Cool.
so I really want to play in EDC, and I really want to play Red Rock's main stage, as that's like, you know, the
Yes.
2013 thing of being like, fuck,
Yes.
I should be a producer. I want to like bookend that with like being able to play main
Ah.
stage as a producer.
Yes.
And so those dreams that I've been like writing down and like been
Yeah.
aiming for a long
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Since
Yeah.
starting
Yeah.
Icon. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, hey, Red Rock, I mean, that's so full circle. Like that's definitely
Yeah.
going to happen,
Yeah.
you
In
know,
my
just because you
hometown, you
started.
know.
Yeah. Yeah. Like how
Yeah.
cool is that going to be as soon as
Hmm.
that happens? So, all right, last question about
Sure.
LA. So, do you plan on staying here for the foreseeable
I
future?
It's hard to say.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um I think it's with this industry and being like um everything being so mobile now, I
Hmm.
think like I don't feel as though like I have to be rooted here
Sure.
to be successful. However, I do think that at the point I'm at right now, it's still very helpful.
Yeah.
I still think that it allows for me to easily be in touch with my network and see people that help motivate me and keep me you know, on my toes. It's also like the home of night base, so it makes it really easy to
Yeah.
be really involved with that community.
Yeah.
um
Yeah.
and also just like I really like a lot of the creature comforts that LA has, so
Yeah. Like what?
it's a fun city. So like
Yeah.
I, p- I recently started playing paintball to kind of get myself out of the house,
Yeah.
and so it's fun to play that here. But I mean, that's also everywhere. Like there's
Yeah.
paintball fields, but
Yeah. Yeah. The
having that,
community that,
being able to go
yeah.
surfing and like
Yeah. Yeah. Surfing for
still
sure.
be able to escape to the mountains to go snowboarding.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, having all those things here is nice. But again, like I don't 100% feel as though like as my career grows that I'll need to rely on it as much. And I think that that's kind of coming from seeing artists like Wookie. You know, he moved to Denver, where he was at for a long. He's I don't think he's from Denver, but he was living in Denver before he moved to LA, and now he's back in Denver. And kind of seeing like that work out for him, but also just like, you know, in this industry, you just got to be close to an international airport, really, to make it work. So that's kind of the thing. So just doesn't really matter too much, but I think for like the right now, and like for the next like couple of years as I'm getting more established, it still makes the most sense.
Yeah. What about, so this is going to be my last question, and it's funny, I had it on the top of my head, and now that I'm about to, oh yes, no, this is what it is. What words of advice do you have for anybody like new to the business? So,
okay. Yeah. So I would say, don't be afraid of what people think would be a big one. Like, it's something I struggle with 1,000,000%. And it's basically like, and I think this is something that I've finally been overcoming with like Instagram, but basically, don't really worry about it because nobody really cares, I guess. So like, just do shit. Just do what you want to do. Put it out there. Let people see it. And no matter what the reaction is, just move on because it doesn't really matter. Because as long as it's like something you want, that's all that matters. Do what you want. Don't worry about the outcome. So like if it's making goofy content, make your goofy content. If you have like 15 comments of people like talking shit, well, you got 15 people who boosted your exposure to Instagram. So like, and now like maybe 50 people like your shit, you know? You got 15 bad comments, but maybe 50 people liked it and are now sharing it or something. Like, you know, you don't know unless you do it. So like just do shit. Don't worry, don't think about the outcome. So like if you're starting making music, make your music, post it on SoundCloud. Just like don't care about it so much. Like, you know, you can always change course. Like if you start making something that's so different from like what you started making, that's okay. You can come up with a new name, as I did, you know. And just you know, just be flexible. But yeah, I think it all really comes down to just have fun, do what you want to do, and don't look at the outcomes. Don't think about the outcome because as a creative, the outcome is like not important, I guess. It's like,
it's about the creation, isn't it? Like the actual act of creating. Yeah. It's interesting. Someone else I was speaking to is like even the act of making something and never releasing it, like intentionally, like to make something that you never intend to release. Like there's a beauty in that and just the creative process. So, and if we can embrace that, then we're all set because we'll make beautiful things that people will love because it'll be authentic to us. So
it's something. So at Icon Collective there's a class called Art of Flow, and the whole and it's kind of like the center and like idea behind Icon Collective as a school is based around this program called Art of Flow. And the class that, or the single day that resonated with me the most, or that I think about the most, is we went into class and there were like papers on our desk and a pen, you know. And we're like, the fuck, what is this? And our teacher is like, okay, draw a dot in the middle of your paper. I'm like, okay, where's this going? And he's like, all right, now draw like a symbol. Okay, draw the symbol in the left corner of your paper. Okay, cool, do that. Now draw 5 of them around the dot in the middle. And it's like, okay, what is happening here? He's like, now you're gonna draw a different symbol, and then do the same thing. And so what we were doing was creating a mandala. And so we were drawing a mandala, and just kind of, and after like, you know, the introduction of just like, we got like 3 or 4 cymbals down, and he's like, now I'm going to give you 10 minutes. Just keep going. Just keep adding to the pattern. You know, you have your 5 branches, just keep adding to those 5 and just see where you get in 10 minutes. And so 10 minutes later, you know, it's just been like quiet time. It's like elementary school. It's quiet
Yeah.
time. There's like some soft music playing. He's like,
Yeah.
okay, cool. Pass your papers forward. And at music school, we're all very accustomed to like the teacher like presenting shit. And so
Sure.
he gets all the papers and he just fucking throws them in the garbage. And we're like, hey, that like, I really liked what I had.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
whatever, you know? And it was like, he's like, okay, so what is happening here is you are all attached to your creations. You know, you made a thing and you're attached to it. You wanted to see what happened. You were like excited about the presentation, seeing other people's work, seeing your work presented along with other people's. However, that's not important. What is important is that like that moment you had, that's 10 minutes of just sitting down quietly creating.
Right. Right.
Like that is the pure essence of creativity. And the outcome is not important when you're in it. You know, you didn't know I was going to throw it away.
Right.
And you didn't know what was happening. You didn't care. You were just making stuff because I told you to just draw symbols around. So you just fucking drew symbols for 10 minutes. So in creativity, we're always trying to get back to that. And when you're like making a song, when you're doing all this stuff, we have a lot of external voices being like, hey, you got to write this track for fucking Night Bass because you need another Night Bass release. You know, that's the result. You're like thinking about the fucking trash can while you're starting. So you're going to be real. It's like, you know, it's going to put in a block. And so, just like being in that creative center is like
Yeah.
the most important thing. So I think like my biggest piece of advice is like,
Yeah.
don't think about the outcome, or like just make the thing, and everything's getting yeeted into the trash anyway. So fucking just make shit,
Right.
put it out there, and fuck it. You know, if
Yeah.
it's gold, it could be gold. But like the thing that you think might be the most dog shit piece of art that you made could be the thing that like gets you to all of the goals that you have. You know, but you'll
Totally.
never know unless you put it out there for people to
Yeah.
see.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
long example.
No, I
But
love it. I love
yeah.
it. This is such good advice because that's like what we were talking about at the beginning of the call is me putting myself out there on social and even like the mistakes that I made, right? Like writing it and then trying to fix it. And now it's totally off. It has no swing to it at all. It's like, but like, it's not good, you know, but at the same time, like you have to put it out. You just have to put yourself out there in general and like,
Yeah.
get used
It's
to
not your job to
that.
say it's not good, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everyone gets
Yeah.
better, you know.
Of
It's like
course. Of
you
course.
start
That's
in
the
the
whole point.
gym,
We're all
like you lift
learning.
like a 2-pound weight, and like,
Yeah.
oh, you
Yeah.
lifted a 2-pound weight today. That's nothing. But
Yeah.
like if you keep going to the gym and lifting
Yep.
the 2-pound weight, you're gonna move up and you're gonna get better
Of
and
course.
stronger.
And soon it'll be 10
And
and then it'll be
so
20 and then it'll be 30. Yeah. It'll
yeah.
be, yeah,
And then you could
exactly.
look back, and then with Instagram, you'll look back at the dog shit music that
Oh my God. I can't wait.
you're like, oh wow, I can't believe I was putting this stuff out. And then you're gonna be all proud of yourself because you're like, look at what I did. I
Yeah,
came from that,
exactly.
you know, and that's the
Exactly.
coolest thing. I've never taken down any of my old music, you know, from
Yeah.
like the K Smash era. It's still up
Yeah.
there. You can listen to it.
I love it.
Because
I
it's
love
fun
it.
to have
I'm
that
going
like
to.
snapshot. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because it's nice to just, like you said, see progress because isn't that really the goal? I mean, in my opinion, that's the goal of life in general is just to be progressing in,
Mhm.
you know, whatever we're deciding to spend our time doing. So,
Yeah.
so yeah, and if we can have an actual measurement of that, like how cool it's like taking metrics by recording yourself, you're like taking metrics of your progress,
Mhm.
which is so inspiring, you
Yeah.
know, especially when you're
Yeah.
starting to feel like, oh, I can't figure out how to make this melody line and this drum line work. And you know what I mean? And you go back and you can kind of like, oh, I'm a crap producer. And if you
Yeah.
go back and look and you're like, no, actually,
Yeah. It's
I've
like
actually made a lot of progress. Yeah.
I think sometimes too, like my favorite thing in going through old projects is like going and looking at the old project and being like finding a project that's called bullshit or something that I saved. And I'm like, you know what, the drums are really good in this. And then because Ableton's really modular, taking the
Yeah.
drums out, throwing it into a new
Right.
project,
Totally.
or like the
I
melody
have,
that didn't work might work in
yes,
something new. So yeah.
I have these hi-hat triplets that I wrote for a totally different song that I friggin' love. And I've been trying to replicate just writing them again, and I can't really get it. So I'm like, I'm just gonna copy and paste that little that little hi-hat
Yeah.
triplet line. Yeah, and it might just be like one of my key sounds, and it's just because I wrote it in one song, and now I want to just keep going with it and save
Mhm.
myself a lot of time and trying to
Yeah.
rewrite those triplets.
So
So
in
yeah,
an anti-art of flow sense for like that
yeah,
story I told earlier,
yeah,
don't throw anything away.
yeah.
Yeah. Don't throw anything away.
Totally,
Because you might need
totally.
it. as far as as far as projects go. But
Hey,
yeah,
I
keep your
went back and
projects. Yeah.
listened to a lot of like I was just in a period of time when I was just making loop after loop because I could do it so fast. And
Hmm.
you told me it was at a party, it was Lexi's birthday party. And I
Oh
was like,
yeah.
"Yeah, I'm just gonna trash these because none of them are good." You're like, don't do that.
No.
And I didn't. And so now there's one that I'm actually probably going to, because it's using that same flute and like
Yeah.
drum low bass stuff that I like. And I'm like, I'm gonna
Hmm.
do that again. I'm gonna bring this loop in something else. So yeah. So anyway,
Yeah. Yeah. Just
glad I didn't delete
rinse and
it.
repeat.
Yeah.
I think there was like a period of time where I like used the same kick for like maybe 2 years, in every song, just because I
Exactly.
liked how it sounded in like one project and I kept dragging it over.
Exactly. Yeah.
So like, yeah,
Yeah.
don't throw anything out
Exactly. No.
and just, but yeah,
Amazing.
ultimately just have fun with it. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
just
That's
fucking
amazing.
have a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah. As long as you're
Well,
in that
thank
creative
you.
zone, just keep
Yeah.
going.
Just keep
Hmm.
going. Kelly, thank you so much for this. This has
Of
been
course.
amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm lucky because I get to just work with you outside of this as well. But this has been great for me to learn about your journey and about the things that motivate you. And then obviously anybody listening or watching, I'm sure you're going to be inspiring them. And the advice too, I think that that's
Yeah, you
like the
can
most
always the thing
valuable.
I say on my
Yeah.
like Twitch show is
Yeah.
like if you ever have a question or if you ever want to like get in touch or just like ask me something, like
Yeah.
please hit me up on Instagram.
Yeah.
I'm like I love helping people. That's like
Yeah.
what I just
Yeah.
enjoy it. It's very fun
Yeah.
to like, you know, offer that time. And so
Yeah.
yeah, if you ever have a question, just hit me up on IG.
And you
Um
have a
yeah,
Discord community too, yeah?
I do. Yeah. I have a
Cool.
Discord community.
Awesome.
You could
Awesome.
also drop feedback in there. We
Cool.
have a little tight community of other producers who are at various stages. So,
Great.
and there's some good people in there, like my buddy Fox, who's a cracked producer, and kind of like if you need to know some really technical thing, he's probably got it dialed.
Okay.
If it's
Good
not
to
coming
know.
from me, it could come from somebody else in the community. So
I
Discord
love
is
that.
definitely a
Yeah.
great place to
Well, and
hang
music
out.
is so community driven. It's like we need to make music with other people. So the fact
Yeah.
that you're doing that and bringing people together is
Hmm.
awesome. It's awesome.
Yep.
So
And
yeah.
and I also have a producer challenge every Tuesday
Ah,
called Producer Royale. So it's kind of like it's like a gauntlet to try to like
yeah.
test your skills and see what you could do, but it's also just for fun. So like every week I drop 10 free samples. So even if
Okay.
you just want to get some new samples for
Sure.
free,
Sure.
just download the pack. But yeah, so that's a weekly
Okay.
competition just to kind of like,
I should start
make a
doing that.
song, see what you could do. It's just like
Yeah.
a 1 minute,
Yeah.
1 minute submission. So it's
Great.
not a full
Great.
song, but any skill and ability is
Yeah.
recommended to do it. It's really just like I really got ahead doing producer battles over COVID,
Okay.
and so I'm
Yeah.
just trying to offer what
Yeah.
helped me back to the community,
Yeah.
for the house
You're
music
paying it
community.
forward. Yeah, you're paying
Yeah,
it forward. It's
paying it
it's
forward.
giving. You're giving, and I mean, I think that
Hmm.
that's how we manifest the things we want is by first giving what we want to
Hmm.
receive. So
100%.
awesome. Yeah.